The kids are stopping upstairs. Probably won't be able to hear them too well because hopefully my mics are decent and I've put enough money into this dang studio to minimize some of the sound. But kids are heading back to school this week. Poudre School District starts on Thursday. Some of the kindergartners are either going to go Thursday or Friday. So excited for that and for the year to get back going, which means football is coming down the pipe, and we've got CSU starting on August 30th against Washington. But the students for CSU are coming back on August 25th. But you're probably going to see a bunch of students moving into the dorms, moving into their apartments, sororities, fraternities. So the activity in Fort Collins and the traffic, you are going to start to feel it. That is for sure. So we got away for the summer of kind of fewer cars on the road, less traffic, but the season is upon us. But this is Live in Fort Collins. We come to you on a weekly basis, talking about things that are happening in Fort Collins, things that have happened, things to do this upcoming week. We usually talk to you about city council recaps, but this is actually their first week back in like 3 weeks. So we'll report back on what they discuss tomorrow, which is actually parking in Fort Collins, which is a big deal. You know, I don't know. So in Fort Collins, they talk about this disconnect relatively frequently about the most valuable spaces in Fort Collins are free. And the most, the least desired spaces cost money. And what that means is the on-street parking in downtown Fort Collins is free. You get 2 hours, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. free. Now, if you don't move your car, you will get ticketed, and they are on top of that. So make sure that you're watching that. But the garages, which, you do have a park away, you do maybe get some covered parking, which is nice in the event there's a, storm or anything along those lines, or it's, snowing, anything like that. Those do cost money. Not bad. I mean, I think it's $1 an hour or something like that. It's extremely affordable, but there is this disconnect of like, hey, we want to, push people into the garages, but yet that is what costs money, and on street is free. And there will be people that are just circling some of that area. So I'll be really interested to see how that work session goes tomorrow. But plenty to report on today and what's going on in Fort Collins. If you have an opportunity, make sure to you're commenting while you're watching. If you're watching this on Instagram, there's going to be some visuals on our YouTube channel and LinkedIn. And if you're watching this live on either of those platforms, feel free to comment and I will respond to you in real time. But there was an article that came out that November 7th is when this year's holiday lights are going to turn on. Now, I worked downtown for nearly a decade, and working downtown during the holiday season is, it's a Hallmark card. And on November 7th, they light up the streets. Now, I have had some clients that have moved into the area that kind of make fun of the lighting ceremony. They're like, what, we flip on a switch? And to a to a certain extent, yes, that is true. We flip a switch and all the holiday lights turn on, but they are on from that November 7th until Valentine's Day, which is kind of our holiday season. So when they go off, it's like sad because you don't get to see the holiday lights, but spring's right around the corner. And it was kind of an interesting, article on the Colorado, and they said, hey, school's starting August here, which is basically September, which is nearly October, which is essentially November. And so, we're a ways off from getting those holiday lights turned on, but something to plan for. If you've not been, thousands of people go into downtown Fort Collins, into the square, into Oak Street Plaza. So it is an event that you will want to attend. Something that looks a little bit sooner on the horizon is Open Streets. This is the 10th year for Open Streets in Fort Collins. They're going to be shutting down Lady Moon Drive from, I believe it's like 10 to 3 p.m. Food trucks, music, games, activities. Essentially what the intent for this is to show how, you can have a car, you can be more car free than maybe you originally thought. So they'll shut down the street, no cars allowed, and you're, to bike there, walk there, or roll there. And again, they've kind of had these open streets all over Fort Collins for the last 10 years. And the kind of focus is how can we move people more from cars to bikes, rollerblades, whatever that might be. And so it's really a fun thing to do. So if you're on the southeast side of Fort Collins, make sure to go and attend that. Additionally, Tour de Fat is coming up here in a couple of weeks, and I don't think we'll be attending it because I'm going to tell you another opportunity that you can do during the month of August, which is really fun. But that's August 23rd. The bike event starts, I think, like 9:30, something along those lines. But then the kind of post-parade event at New Belgium starts at 11 o'clock. This is not necessary. It's not pet friendly. So if you are going, definitely leave the pets at home. It's just hot. And there's just going to be a ton of people. And if everyone brought their animals, I mean, it would just be chaos. Everyone brings their kids already, or not everyone, but a lot of people bring their kids, and it is chaos. I will say, if you are riding on the Pooter Trail around that time, anytime after probably noon on the 23rd, just be watching out. I believe you can get like a BUI, biking under the influence. So be safe. Don't do that. But if you do or if you are on those trails, understand that people do that. So you want to make sure that you're safe and just aware of your surroundings. So that's August 23rd. It is a hoot. If you've never been, essentially people dress up in all different costumes, little themes and different things along those nature, and they ride on their bike all throughout Fort Collins. So it doesn't and it's along Mountain Avenue, but people are riding their bike from Southeast Fort Collins, Southwest Fort Collins, Northeast, Northwest, all to get to kind of that area of Mountain Avenue where they will ride along the bike parade. But you will see people, if you are kind of out and about on that day, you will just see random people in a banana costume riding their bike, or trailing with their dog behind them, or whatever or their kids. So it is, you kind of like wonder what's going on here, but that is what it is. Tour de Fat. It is a very Fort Collins, New Belgium thing. So if you haven't been, go and explore that. But I don't think my family and I are going to be doing it because we have something else on the agenda. Colorado State unveils the Ring of Honor to celebrate some Ram legends. I'm not going to lie. When this article came out, I kind of was like, oh, of course, Janae's got to be on it. But, she wasn't on it this time. And, there wasn't, Becky Hammond wasn't on it. And I was like, all right, Becky Hammond's, a Ram legend as well. And the people that were on it definitely are deserving. So that's exciting. They're going to get recognized on, I believe it was September 6th at the home opener against University of Northern Colorado. And the 6 honorees are Sonny Lubick, former coach Sonny Lubick. This is Canvas Stadium, Sonny Lubick Field at Canvas Stadium. So obviously a legend. Joey Porter, Bradley Van Pelt, Al Bubba Baker. All 3 of those are football players or former football players. Angela Knopp, volleyball player. CSU has a fantastic volleyball program. It's, I know we don't have Tom Hilbert there anymore as far as the coach, but I'm pretty sure the CSU volleyball team is still doing quite well. And between CSU volleyball and track and field, while they're not the power sports that basketball and football are, we do very well. I would say CSU's all-around athletic program is super strong, and volleyball is definitely one of them. And then Amy Van Dyken, 2-time Olympian, 6-time gold medalist for CSU, is getting inducted. And then finally, Jason Smith, men's basketball player, played in the NBA for many seasons. I got a pretty cool story with Jason Smith. I was playing pickup basketball when I was, I think, in high school, freshman or sophomore year, and Jason was there, and he was kind of the big deal on CSU. I mean, 7-footer, athletic, can shoot. And I was sitting there playing on the kind of side courts, and he kind of reached out to me and said, hey, why don't you come play with us? And so just always had kind of a soft spot in my heart for him because he just was a nice guy, inviting, and obviously world-class athlete. So that'll be great to see. If they do another induction, I will be watching CSU. Janae better be on the line of athletes that are getting in there. But there was an article that just came out, and this will be interesting. It may go on to the ballot. I don't know all of the ins and outs of how the Greeley political system works, but essentially a petitions protest was filed against Catalyst, which is the development basically arm of Cascadia, the $1.1 billion project in Greeley. And there needed to be 4,500 protest petitions signed, and they got, I think, close to 9,000. So this is by no means happening, Cascadia, where there was going to be a water park, pool, or water park, ice rink, multiple ice rinks, residential developments. I mean, it was going to be, don't know what that is yet. Going to be a absolutely massive development for US 34 and I-25, but it has major roadblocks yet to overcome. So we will see if that ever takes place. It's super, I don't know how I feel about it per se, because I know originally it was originally planned for Windsor, and Windsor was going to have this massive development, or Windsor / Loveland. It's just kind of this crazy weird area. I think it was actually, I want to say it was either Windsor or Loveland, but regardless, the municipality was not as in favor of the development as Weld County and Greeley was. So Martin Lynn took his project and said, okay, fine. If you don't want to give me the incentives and you bring this $1 billion project to your community, I'll take it just west to Greeley. Got passed through city council in like early May, but then the citizens petition filed, enough petitions signed, and it will be, I believe, put onto the ballot of whether the petition will be upheld and then repealed, or if it will be shot down and this $1 billion project will move forward. So you'll probably see some, my guess is, and my understanding is, you'll probably see some marketing for and against Cascadia and Greeley. So if you are in the area, if you're a resident of Greeley, you'll have an opportunity to vote on that this November, it looks like. The northeast of Fort Collins continues to get eyeballs and development. There is a new 97-acre development conceptual review proposal. Now, let's be real. Conceptual review to actual vertical project and lived-in properties is a long path. Like, let's see here real quick. I got a question. I think it'll take away from our neighbors up north, Wyoming. I think what will, Cascadia, or clarify your question real quick for me and I'll answer it. But on the northeast side, it's a 270 single family homes, 30 duplexes, apartments, 1 acre park, other buildings. And as we've seen with Union over on southeast Fort Collins, there was a citizens kind of appeal on that. And then there was an appeal in, let's see here, somewhere at the Greens. What is it? Not Lexington Greens, but somewhere on the Greens that is still going through appeals and challenges. So by no means will a conceptual review project get to the finish, but it is exciting to see those projects being proposed, because even that, it takes a lot of dollars and time and investment. And then obviously like letters of intent to buy property and land in that northeast side. And this is going to be on Vine and Timberline. Actually, here, I'll show you my screen real quick. Let's go here. Let's show screen. All right, there we go. So Vine and Timberline right here is, this is Mosaic, great neighborhood. And then just right here is Bloom. And then you got Mulberry coming down here. But this is going to be on the north side of Vine and northeast corner of Vine and Timberline. And it's eventually going to have an overpass here. So this is Timberline. And then just to the west of Timberline, you've got LeMay that has this overpass that has transformed that corridor, or that kind of area of Fort Collins. You no longer have to get north to south and get caught by a train. You have that overpass, and eventually, I think within 10 years, there's planned to be another overpass here. But this is a 97-acre site on the northeast side. Hundreds of homes. This northeast corridor continues to have a lot of eyeballs on it for development and continued growth of Fort Collins. Let's see here. Yes, Cascadia. We have lots of Eagles fans up north. Accessibility to I-25 is crucial. I don't know. It's not that far away. I think it's another, probably it would be another I don't know, what do you think, 5 to 10 miles to get there. So if somebody's coming up from Wyoming to cheer for the Eagles, I don't know if another 5 to 10 miles will deter them from going. And from what it looks like, it'd be an absolute world-class facility development. So I think it'd be gorgeous. And it would also have other amenities, right? So right now, if you go to an Eagles game, you've got the Embassy Suites right there, which then you have the Bass Pro Shops. But you don't have a lot of other kind of attractions and things of that nature, whereas this could have a hotel with a water park, other shops, other shopping around it. So whereas kind of that Crossroads Boulevard is awesome, but not yet developed. So I think this could be something to where long term, it could be a huge benefit. And I want to say, I can't remember the length of lease that the Eagles would be signing at this new stadium, but it'd be like a significant time. So they would be there for a long time. Let's keep going. Man, I was driving home today and we've seen the smoke. We've seen kind of the orangey sun over the last week or so, but today on the west side, I couldn't even see the mountains, and it was definitely pretty smoky. And I will say that my daughter, who has asthma, we were kind of curious. Janae actually brought it to my attention. She goes, I think it was, we were talking about how Nola's been coughing a bunch and we think it's the smoke. And I was like, oh, that would make a lot of sense. While we don't have any fires, in our immediate vicinity, we do have a lot of smoke that's kind of finding its way to our area. Last night we got absolutely, poured on with rain, and hopefully wherever these fires are, they have got some moisture either coming to it. But there's heat, wind, and it's dry, or it's been dry. So I think Larimer County has a ban on anything above 6,000 feet, no burning above 6,000 feet. We're going up to our cabin this weekend, so no fires for us. And, some things that you can take into consideration for preventing these is avoid spark causing activities, postpone strenuous outdoor activities. Right now, there are some air quality alerts saying, hey, stay inside if you don't have to go outside because of the smoke. Stay hydrated, and then keep informed about the air quality and things of that nature. I've talked about it before, and in my near and 40 years on this planet, in 2013 was one of the worst times for fires and smokes from my perspective, because I was young, dumb, and we were going on a bike ride and didn't realize why we were having such a hard time breathing, but it was because of the smoke. And it can absolutely make being outside not that fun. So just if you don't have to, stay indoors. Hopefully we can get through this over the next week or two. These fires can die down, get contained, be put out, whatever. Man, I actually got a text message from this, and then it kind of blew up on the, not literally, well, kind of literally, on the internet. There was an eviction filing. Somebody was posted for an eviction. The sheriffs came there to make sure to give the keys back and get access back to the property. And the individual did not leave. Ended up pulling a gun on the response team. And then there was SWAT involved, Johnstown, Timnath police on the northwest side of town. Fortunately, no one was hurt. The suspect was taken into custody and has probably a very long time ahead of him with legal battles. But it's, I own a fair amount of rentals, and I've gone through evictions, definitely not fun. They're not enjoyable, and, are extremely emotional. So if you are a investor or landlord or anything like that, take the proper steps to evict someone, posting for an eviction, going through the notice time periods, getting in front of the judge, getting possession, getting the writ, and having a sheriff go out there and do get the property back in possession. So just because there can be those dangers out there. And there are also hotlines out there if you are paying rent or having troubles with rent, neighbor to neighbor. A lot of churches will help you out as well. So if you ever have any specific questions or need any guidance or resources on that. Whether you're a landlord or a tenant, be happy to answer those questions for you. I'm going to share my screen. I think one of the most important things with all of this economic uncertainty is for the city of Fort Collins is like, how is our sales tax doing? Because, well, we are a sales tax community, and our revenue, majority of our revenue from the city comes from city sales tax. So I will show this for you guys, and then we can kind of look at it. But sales tax and use tax are going to make up both our net sales and use tax. Sales tax is down a little bit year to date on our budget, but year to date, we're 3.5% above last year. So people are, whether they're spending more or being charged more, regardless, we're 3.5% above last year, but down 1.2% versus what our budget was. So based off of our budget, we're actually down a little bit. But fortunately, our use tax is way up. And you'll see our building permits are like $6 million versus $4 million as far as our budget goes. So builders, whether they, you know, I don't joke, I guess. I do say quite a bit that I've done almost every part of real estate, from, you know, commercial purchasing brokerage to commercial management, residential brokerage and residential management, and then investing myself, fix and flips, cash investing, lending on cash investments. But I've never done, and I probably will never do, development. Now you can make a ton of money, but it's also extremely risky, and you can lose a lot of money because, you know, like I talked about a little bit earlier, the conceptual review that was submitted for this 97-acre piece of property might not have a shovel in the dirt for 2 years and might not go vertical for 3 years. And the economy that we're in now might be substantially different from the economy that we're in, you know, years from now. So some of these projects and payments for permits, you know, were in the works for years, and they've already gotten probably millions of dollars in invested. So, but that all being said, builders, developers are clearly still strong in Fort Collins. So this is just a graphical representation of our budget versus actual. But here's kind of a breakdown of where the majority of our dollars are coming in from. You know, one thing that I looked at was lodging. How's our lodging tax doing? You know, because Fort Collins is definitely a strong, you know, we are a tourist community, so we want to make sure that those lodging taxes are doing well. And we are up 12.8% versus last year, and up 5.4% versus year to date versus last year, which is great because that kind of is telling us that people are coming in, spending their dollars in Fort Collins. Somebody asked earlier on the show if, you know, we think that, if I thought that the move from the Crossroads area, currently Blue Arena, the ranch at Loveland, for the Eagles to I-25 and US 34 West Greeley would impact Wyoming residents who come here to watch the Eagles. No, I don't think that's the case, but we definitely want to pay attention to that because we have a lot of people who commute in from, you know, North Denver, Greeley, Eastern Colorado, you know, Estes Park, Wyoming, all to come here and spend their dollars. And we want to make sure that stays strong. Areas that we're not doing so great in, new car sales, manufacturing, which that makes sense because obviously, you know, with tariffs and everything like that, maybe people are spending less, concerned about the cost. Maybe they spent a lot more earlier, or, you know, kind of waiting to spend. I'm not sure, but manufacturing, that definitely makes a lot of sense. And then again, building permits up 55% this year to date versus last year, 6.6 million versus $4.2 million, which is really keeping us afloat, which ultimately says that we're $2.8 million over budget on this year than we are last year. So doing well, but mostly because of building permits, not our sales tax revenue. That's kind of, you know, really the main thing I wanted to look at on those two is, again, we're down 1.2% on our sales tax collected, but not too bad in July. So hopefully people are getting a little bit more comfortable with the economy, a little bit more understanding of like all the tariffs and where we're headed. I maybe not, but regardless, City of Fort Collins seems to be doing just fine as far as sales tax and use tax goes. All right, well, let's see here. What is there to do this weekend or week, I've kind of talked with you guys about some things as far as Colorado State versus Washington is coming up here in a couple of weeks on August 30th. They're at Washington, so you can watch it on TV, but you won't be able to go to the game, or unless you're going to Seattle. What we're going to be doing here in a couple of weeks is we're going to be heading to Anderson Farms, which is open August 2nd through the 24th for their sunflowers. And it's just really, it's a fun time to go with your families. You get to go pick out some sunflowers. I think you pay by the size of the bowl or amount of flowers that you end up getting. But they always have events on and things to do on the Saturdays and Sundays. So we're going to go not this weekend, but the following weekend. It's down in Erie, about an hour, 45-minute drive from Fort Collins. We just have really enjoyed it when we have gone. And so we're going to be heading that. Izzy, that beard though. All right. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to take a poll. The beard will be staying until my jiu-jitsu tournament, which is on August 30th. But you guys tell me by this time or whenever, should it stay or should it go? Should I stay or should I go now? Right. And then from there, we got the Fort Collins Foodie Walk, the third Friday of every month, which is, I was like, I had to look at the calendar. I was like, how is this the third Friday? But when the first of the month falls on a Friday, you can get there pretty quickly. So if you're interested in, that's 5 to 8 p.m. downtown Fort Collins. Go and explore some different cuisines and tastes throughout Fort Collins at that time. And then finally, the Verboten Summer Market. We had Verboten Brewing on our podcast, and they took over the Black Bottle Brewing spot. Go show them support. This August 16th, 12 to 5 p.m. They've got 9 vendors that are going to be there. Craft vendors, small vendors. So go there, support, drink some beer, have a good time. Verboten is definitely a fan favorite. All righty, that is all I've got. Now, I did in my weekly newsletter, which if you're interested in signing up for that, send me a message, give me your email address, and I'll get you on that. Kind of a recap of this, but also talks about some real estate stuff, things to do, links for things, stats, statistics. There are some developments under review, like that 97-acre parcel, but there's also a 5-story multifamily building being proposed right across the street from the stadium, which would have apartment complexes, I think a commercial component to it, and then fraternity, sorority as well. Accessory dwelling units continue to come across the table for conceptual reviews, as well as there was an interesting one. There was an addition of permitted use for a low to mixed use neighborhood for a short-term rental, for a non-primary short-term rental. And I'm actually going down this road right now of turning one of my rentals into a non-primary short-term rental. So I'll let you guys know how that process goes. But this is in a zone that doesn't allow for non-primary. So it'll definitely be interesting to watch how this kind of proceeds. Let me check, just make sure I don't have any questions or anything like that anywhere. I do not. I appreciate you guys watching. And tomorrow, what do we got tomorrow? Tomorrow's video is Colorado. Can't remember what the video is coming out tomorrow, but make sure to have a watch. It's a good one. And we're diving into a couple things here shortly, a couple different videos. What does $1 million buy you in Fort Collins in different zip codes? So I just released a blog post for that, but I'll actually be doing a full length video as well to discuss kind of like the nuances. And then also the video that I'll be recording tomorrow is all about jobs in Northern Colorado, companies that are growing, large employers. How are people making a living in Northern Colorado, and where to look if you are looking for a job in the area, and kind of like what industries are strong for us here in Northern Colorado. So hopefully you guys enjoy those videos that are coming out. Appreciate you guys watching. And until next time, have a great day.